Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel where hot rodding and romance do coexist. Your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome to another one of my live streams as I'm setting up devices and doing what I do. Uh, Welcome to another sober talk. We're going to see what happens tonight. It should be interesting. Uh, First one, honey. You're the first one here. Um, Been kind of an off kilter day, but it hasn't been a bad day, that's for sure. Also, the first like, well, isn't that something? All right. Today's sober talk. I have no idea where it's going to go. Like always, when you do a sober talk, you always think, oh, it's going to go this way, it's going to go this way, and you end up talking about something totally different. So much for coming up with a topic. I find that just speaking from the heart between the audience and what your higher power has in mind, oftentimes is totally different than what you anticipated. So that's where we stand on all of this. Today's not going to be any different. It's going to be an interesting run, that is for sure. Currently, there we go. Thank you, dear. Thank you, dear. So, it's definitely gonna be an interesting run today. Currently, right now, I'm waiting for the pot of coffee to to finish up. I'm probably gonna take. There you go, Jesse Johnson. First day. Hey, got to start somewhere. Every journey begins with the first step. The first step. Um, and depending on how tonight goes, it might depend on what I talk about. That is for sure. Hey, honey, could you put on your headphones or something like that?
Is it coming through?
It will, because if I can hear it, I know the mic is picking it up.
Yep, one sec.
You're gonna say you want my headphones?
I've got three to choose from over here.
Okie dokie, okie dokie. So tonight is going to be one of those runs where, I mean, I every time I seem to think I'm going to talk about a certain something in sober talk, it always ends up being something else. You never know. You never know. Like I said, right now I'm waiting for the coffee to finish perking. I just started a pot of coffee, and it's going to be a nice little run. That note was also going to step out. Smoke.
It's not coming through my computer, is it? It's only coming through the
No,
headphones.
just your headphones.
Okay, I'm gonna turn it up. So if you need me, you're gonna have to tap me on the shoulder.
Okay, baby.
Hello.
Love you. I only have one hand. I see you yonder, cuz. Um, so tonight is not going to be much different. But we'll kick this off here in just at the 10-minute marker of the stream, which I got a counter at the corner of all this, so we'll definitely deal with that. Um, hmm. So that is the extent of my excitement. Jesse, I'm glad you're here today. You know, that first day of sobriety is hard. It's hard. You know, I remember all too well going back in my history, those first days of sobriety. I remember the first 2 months. It seemed like everything took it just seemed like months was actually, 2 months was actually like a year, it felt like. I remember like the first week, it just felt like months. It just seemed like it was a weird world I was living in at that time. Really was. It was, I didn't, and so that whole thing where you get to hear, you sometimes in an AA meeting, oh, hey, you know, um, you'll hear sometimes in an AA meeting that 24 hours feels longer than the X amount of years that I've got. You know, I'll tell you right now, the first day always, the first day felt like longer than my 14 years. I mean, honestly, um, it's just one of those things. That's why we make a big deal out of that. The first month, we make a big deal out of it for that reason alone. It's ridiculous. I remember all too well. I hated it. I if I ever picked up a drink again, I honestly think that it would just tear me apart like that. I mean, I'd hate to have to go through that all over again. Oh my God, I couldn't imagine. I don't want to imagine doing that again. Not, no. But anyhow, uh, got the money set aside to send off for Spirit's next part, um, which probably shouldn't surprise anybody. I got to go over to. I'm either A, going to send off for the cross member, or B, I'm going to send off for the. Well, go get the new starter. I'll probably see about going to get the new starter. It'll be cheaper to deal with the starter than it would be to run off and, yeah. Unless I manage to square away enough money to send off for the cross member. The last piece is to change in Project Spirit over, which I got a call tomorrow and talk to the people at Torque Diesel and Auto and see what they're doing Saturday and bring that transmission up and start having them take a look at it and see if it needs a rebuild. Because the last pieces of this puzzle are going to it's going to cost me a grand total of, I'm going to guess, and say right around about probably about $220 for the last three pieces, and that doesn't include if we do any extra add-on stuff. If we just throw the transmission in as is, and it's fine, we should be okay. Then the next project after this, we got to change out the motor mounts for the original engine, and that's got to all of that stuff has to last us until we get decide to do the V8 swap. Which now there's been a new idea that's been presented to me, and I'm probably going to present it in a recorded video. I think I'm going to probably present that idea in a recorded video, which I think everybody will get a kick out of. That recorded video is going to be basically in a nutshell where we kind of start taking a closer look at doing, what types of V8s are available, or possible V8s, because we do want to do a V8 swap. I would love to keep the 6-cylinder in Project Spirit as much as I would love to keep the 6-cylinder in there and update it and do some really cool stuff to it. The problem with doing a 6-cylinder in Project Spirit, doing the old 6, the old straight 6, it's just too expensive now. Where you could build a Ford, a Ford Windsor V8, you could build now for like $4.5 grand. What's going on, Devil Dog? What's going on, Devil Dog? Welcome to the live. First 10 minutes, we just kind of sit around and chill out. Hey, Queen Bee, what's up? Was just talking about, the possible V8 swaps that we're looking at for Spirit. And I know a lot of people have talked to me, there's been some people that say that I should keep Project Spirit with her 6-cylinder and just update that. So I was kind of briefly talking a little bit about that. Hey, Chairman, dang, we got everyone coming in now, about 10-minute marker. So, I'm doing fantastic. I got up this morning. I had a miracle happen to me today. I woke up this morning and I found it not necessary to take a drink. And any day that happens is still truly a miracle. That is for sure. So it's the real deal still, Chairman, I'll tell you honestly, I have thought about doing a supercharged engine, for Spirit, and it would be cool. I mean, I wouldn't mind having a blower sticking up out of that hood. That'd be cool as hell. Okay, honey. I wouldn't mind having a blower sticking up out of the hood, but the problem with that is blowers, superchargers, and turbos, they're all hard on those engines, especially considering we're trying to keep Project Spirit as a daily driver. So the cool factor goes up, performance factor goes up, but longevity and gas mileage out the window. Because I've even debated that myself. I have talked about doing that for a long while myself, but because of the simple fact that honestly, it's just too expensive in the long run. I mean, if I was only doing, running the drags, it would probably be just fine. But, that's not the case. She's daily driven. So it all has to still be focused on longevity, the availability of parts, and it's got to be economical. Because one of my main focuses in this entire project is I want to do a V8 that it has to do certain things. Number one, it has to be fuel efficient. And I know a lot of you out there saying a V8 and fuel efficiency, those are phrases that do not go together in the same sentence. And yes, it does. We did it back in the 70s and we had it somewhat in the 80s, but we did achieve that way back when. But the problem is nowadays that knowledge has faded to obscurity. So, I mean, as awesome as, all that performance stuff would be, that is definitely not my grab because of the fact that she's still supposed to be a daily driven car. And eventually I am going to do an in-depth video. It's going to have to be, one where it is kind of across the board, where you kind of talk about, that whole thing where you kind of go into, well, if I do this and I do this, I do this, I can get this and I can get this. It's one of those things. There's the gray area in V8 in the V8 world, okay, and those gray areas always fall into. You always think when you get in the with modern cars, the 4-cylinder is the economical, the 6-cylinder is the kind of the mid area, and then the V8 is straight performance. Well, that's how the car companies did it today. Well, back in the day, you used to have you could get cars with numerous engine options, and you might, for example, we'll take that old Delta that I used to have. It came with a total of three different 350s to choose from, and one of them was still the Oldsmobile 350, but there was two Chevrolet engines that were offered that year, two Chevrolet 350s that were offered the same year. And this is in 1977. There was a Chevrolet 350 that had the 2-barrel carburetor, and then you had the Chevrolet 350 that had the 4-barrel carburetor. Well, one was considered the non-performance option. The one that had the 4-barrel was the performance option. So it would stand to reason that if you did, the one that had the performance option would cost a little bit more. So what guys like me would do back in the day is we would yank that intake off with the 2-barrel carburetor, put a high-rise 4-barrel intake on it, slap a good 4-barrel, like a good Holley 600 CFM 4-barrel carburetor down on that stock engine, clear away all the emissions equipment, and you had a high-performance engine that could keep up with what you found in the 1960s. And with the electronic fuel injection, it was easy to tune that in. So eventually we're going to talk about that. But, today's Silver Talk, so we don't want to get into the engine stuff just yet, but you guys get the general idea. Did I hurt you guys' head with that? That's what's up. Okay. Today's Sober Talk, we're just going to kind of start off here in just a moment. I got to grab my coffee. And then basically we're going to start off, we're going to kind of talk about some different things. I'll probably start off telling some story. And from there, we'll see where it takes us. We'll see where it takes us. I'll probably start off talking about a particular story. Now, if there's people in here that have kind of briefly heard a little bit about me talk about a particular story and you want to hear something kind of in depth, then mention it, okay? If there's a particular story you would like to hear from my sobriety. But there's one in particular I'm probably going to go ahead and start off with. Um, so let me start off with this one while I'm finish up my smoke, and then we'll get my coffee. But I'll start off with this particular story. Um, Now you all are familiar with whenever I wear my goth makeup. Well, you're all familiar with me wearing makeup. The makeup live streams and everyone's favorite. Whenever I play the part of being Cinnamon. And I know y'all are familiar with that. I mean, that's kind of like the channel's running gag. But I'm going to take y'all back in time. I used to be really heavy into goth makeup. Now, I did it as often as I could and as much as I could get away with. But when I first got into sobriety, I got this idea, looking at everybody, everybody's different than me. Everyone's from different backgrounds. I'm pretty much the only one that's, got a story like mine. Basically, I was trying to make myself unique, and I've heard this. Thank you. Appreciate that, Kevin. Appreciate that. Kind of a heads up. One of my coworkers, believe it or not, I work with a lot of people that are in recovery. And of those people that are in recovery, I'm pretty much the only one in Alcoholics Anonymous, but everybody else is in Narcotics Anonymous. And one of my lady coworkers, she's like, I would love. Oh my gosh, sometime we'll have to do that. We might have to look at doing that a little closer to Halloween. I would like to save that one. But if you guys remember the first makeup stream that we did, it was goth makeup. It really was. And of course, since that time, it's been a loosely based, drag makeup. But to get me used to wearing makeup again, getting used to the idea, because it's been a long time since I've done, goth makeup. That was what I was comfortable with and figured we'd start there. And so, yeah, that's where it kind of all began. So kind of a heads up, one of my coworkers may poke in or may be lurking. We don't know. I told them about the stream tonight and they said, I'd like to be there. And I gave them all the information and I said, just come on over, subscribe, ding the bell. I said, you'll know when we go live. She's like, all right, so it's one of those deals. I mean, if she's in here, she's, welcome, welcome to the stream. You don't have to say anything. You're welcome to listen, but it's perfectly okay. Okay. Going back to, I was probably a couple weeks sober when it came across the mind that I was different than everybody else. I am doing great. I woke up today and I had a miracle happen to me. I woke up today and I found it not necessary to take a drink. And any day that happens is still a miracle to me. It's still the real deal. I'm still, still doing this thing. I bet. I bet you do. I know how it feels. I'll walk into work. Yeah, it's horrible. But going back, like I said, I've been in AA now, we'll say for about 2 weeks at that point. I still keep a full set. Still keep a full set. But so I'm back, so I'm a few weeks sober and I'm getting this idea in my head that I'm different than everybody else. So I thought, you know what? I got today off. I'm going to see what they really think of me. And basically, I was setting myself up for a relapse. Well, I went into this meeting, black clothes. Oh, yeah. Oh, how about that? I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that. But I go in, all black clothes, black nail polish, purple lipstick. And I'm looking the part. Hair's down and everything. You wrote it with a pen. That's what. That's funny, honey. I don't. At that point in the morning, you're doing good. Just you know, getting coffee. If you're like me, you're doing good getting coffee. You know, like anyhow. Um. So here I am walking in this meeting like this, and you got to remember where I live. It's a podunk area, and mine's always naturally been really dark. I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna have to try that.
Strawberry coffee? What?
Yeah, he makes a strawberry coffee. Isn't that neat? But so I'm here in this AA meeting. You know, black nail polish, purple lipstick. Now, sober man, he, if you will, he did this whole thing where he was like, um, he was cool. It's not like oh man, but that's neat though. What's going on, Mikey G? I see you changed your name to Mike G. I for some reason, Oh shoot, my hair stays dark. Um, so here I am in an AA meeting. You know, black nail polish, purple lipstick. Hey, what's going on, Harrison? So I'm all gothed out, and of all the things, here I am all gothed out and looking the part. And like I said, sober man, don't get me wrong. He's a pretty easygoing kind of guy. He really is. You know, and he's sponsored guys that were that were homosexual. He sponsored them before, and there you go. Might as well, right? But so it's one of those things. He kind of he's dealt with that before, but here I'm not. And he comes up and I've actually done this same impression for Mrs. Soberman, and it was hilarious. I went, I said, this was Soberman that day. Prince Magnum, is there something that I need to know about? Is there something that you just haven't told me yet that I kind of need to know? And it was one of those things. I was like, what do you mean?
Do you know where the straws are?
No, I don't, baby.
Dang, I didn't want to use a reusable one.
Okay. It's like, the lipstick and the nail polish. What's going on here? And I said, oh, it's just something that I do to get a rise out of people. Oh, okay, okay. And he said, it's not that if you swung that way, I mean, I'm okay with that. I mean, I've sponsored a many like that, but and I'm okay with that. I just needed to know so I know what I'm working with. And I was like, nah, it ain't like that. He's like, okay, I just wanted to double check. And he was totally cool. He's one there's not too much he hasn't sponsored. So when I actually did that impression, Mrs. Soberman went, yep, that's the thing. She said, yeah, that's a pretty dang good impression. For the record, with all the guys that Soberman used to sponsor, I would actually do that impression. They're like, oh my God, it's Soberman. They're like, that is him. You've got that nailed. And like I said, even Mrs. Soberman's like, yeah, yeah, that's my hubby right there. Yep. Hey, he's like, I didn't know you could do that. I said, and then when I told him that, yep. So we went through the meeting and everything, and there was this one gal, uh, just really sweet. She comes up and gives me this big old hug. She said, all these redneck types are all freaking out because of you. She said, I love it. I love it. It's something different. And it's about time we have a young person in here, who shakes things up. What's up, Kevin? What's your question? What's the question? I do not. I do not use Watkins. I do not. I've never. I know it's. I've never tried it. Just never tried it. But yeah. So sober man, he took it in stride, and but everybody else, I don't do chokers. I always do like a, and I know this is the wrong term, but it's the easiest one for everyone to kind of gravitate towards. I do use a lot of pentagram necklaces, even though that's not actually the proper term. But that's true. That's true. You do. So now that I've said all of that and kind of narrowed it down for you, um, you know, everybody else is like, oh, wow, and this one gal comes up and gives me a big old hug. She says, I love it. She said, it's about time we have someone in here who shakes things up. And immediately when she did that, my attitude changed. And in a nutshell, all right, all right, might have to remind me by the end of the stream. So at the end of, of all of that, basically what I was trying to do was make myself so unique that I didn't belong in Alcoholics Anonymous. That's literally how it went. All right, all right, I'm gonna have to try it. That's what's up. So it was kind of along those lines. I was basically trying to make myself so unique. I talked myself into a relapse. And the story eventually came out. That one gal, we were all in a meeting, and she was celebrating, I forget how many years. And I started talking, and I said, I know you've told some of your story today, and it's wonderful that we're here celebrating your birthday, your sobriety birthday. In AA, we don't call them anniversaries. We don't, we call them sobriety birthdays, not sobriety anniversaries, sobriety birthdays. That's just an AA term because you're being brought back into life. Because you're being brought back, when you're born, you're coming into the world, coming into life. So you're coming back to life. Okay, Mikey G, I understand. I understand. I'm just glad you're here. I'm glad you're here, man. Appreciate you being here. What's going on, MLG? We're just chilling out and talking about sobriety. I was just talking about a story of back when I was like 3 weeks sober. So, in a nutshell, like I said, I was telling this gal, the same story. I was telling her the story about, that particular meeting. And I said, when you came up and gave me that hug, I said, up until that point, I was actually trying to tell myself that I was so different, so unique. I didn't belong in Alcoholics Anonymous. And so by doing that, what I was actually doing was talking myself into a relapse. I said, when you came up and gave me that hug, hey, I understand. I understand, Mike. I'm just glad you're here, man. You stay as long as you can. If you can't stay much longer, you got to go rest. I understand. Okay. Deep down, I mean, I get it. I get it. And a lot of times I wish I could spend more time with y'all, but I can only do so much. So in a nutshell, like I said, I was actually talking myself, when said that in a meeting, I said, when you came up and gave me that hug, it made me change my mind. So that's why I decided, wow, that's what's up. That's what's up. I said, when you came up and gave me that hug, my attitude changed because of the fact that when you did that, you basically, um, you you changed, you made me rethink things. And, so because of you, I stuck around and here we are now all this time later. And she started to tear up a little bit. She says, I remember that day. I will never forget that day. It's like, she's like, boy, you really scared the hell out of a lot of redneck types that we have in these meetings around here. And she said, you don't still do that, wear your makeup. I said, every once in a while. But, by the time I was able to tell her that story, it'd been a little bit since I'd got to enjoy wearing goth makeup. So I will tell you all now, AA, one of the things that we oftentimes joke about in Alcoholics Anonymous is that, um, well, the joke is that AA has the adjustable wrench to fit every nut out there, okay? Because we are not sane when we go in and get sober. But I always hate how some of them say, "Oh, I'm still crazy," and it's like we're still all a little bit crazy, even in sobriety, but we're not insane like we once were. If you go through the steps, and literally, so if you're struggling with that whole thing, let me break it down again. My original. Oh, really? Wait, your front strength? That's what's up. Needed this stream. But literally in the forward to the first edition, the forward to the first edition is interesting. It says that we of Alcoholics Anonymous are more than 100 men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. How do you get to that where you have recovered from the seemingly hopeless state of mind and body? By going through the steps. And literally, when you explain that into a meeting, you are not the insane person you were when you got in here. Yes, you're still a work in progress. We all are. But the book is very clear. By the time you get to by the time you get to at least your 10th step, what are the steps? Okay, well, I'm glad you asked. That's a good question, MLB. I can't talk today. The steps, and I'll read them directly out of the book. Starts right on this page. Page 59, okay? 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives were unmanageable. Got to hit rock bottom. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Find a higher power that you can trust. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. Okay, now that's a good question. This is the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Literally says right there, Alcoholics Anonymous. Okay? And by the way, this is the one that I got at my very first meeting, and I've had this book now. Woohoo! That's what's up, Kevin. This book I have now had for a grand total of, believe it or not, almost 15 years. This February 7th coming up, I'll have 15 years without a drink or a drug. Okay? You won't find this in no Bible. Somebody over here playing. That's what's up. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. Straight up, just trust that higher power that you found that you can believe in. Okay? 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. You're going to do some writing. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Talk about what you wrote about. 6, entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. All that, all that crap that you wrote about that's wrong between your ears. Write it down. 7, humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. Ask your higher power to straighten out the bad wiring between your ears. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Who'd you fuck over while you were drinking? 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. That's a good question. Give me a second to finish talking about the steps and I'll clarify that God thing, okay? I'll clarify that whole God thing. It's ridiculously easy, okay? Believe it or not, we have atheists and agnostics in AA. I'll clarify that. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. The people you fucked over, if they know you fucked them over, you got to talk to them and straighten it out. I didn't say go tell them you're sorry. You got to straighten it out. 10, continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. It's totally fine. You'll find all different walks of life in Alcoholics Anonymous. I'll tell you. That is a good question. All right. We'll get to all of that in just a moment. 10, continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Continue to write about yourself. And when you fuck somebody over, straighten it out. Don't let that shit build up. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. Talk to your higher power. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and practice these principles in all our affairs. Continue to keep doing what you're doing. Be a shining example of what this book teaches, and just live and just continue to live the life, just basically carry this message to others. That simple. Now, let's talk briefly about that higher power thing, okay? Welcome to the live stream, and welcome to Sober Talk Live. Real quick, I believe you're fairly new. Hey, Sean, what's up? Hey, Sean, I'm so glad you're here, man. Okay, let me welcome you to Sober Talk, and kind of a heads up. Sober Talk is where I kind of talk about my experience, strength, and hope in Alcoholics Anonymous. I am a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm actually over 14 and a half years without a drink or a drug. And that includes marijuana. I don't touch that stuff. Matter of fact, I really didn't even like that stuff when I was drinking. I tried it a total of 6 times and I hated it. I found that you can bang your head against the wall and get the same effect. Anyhow, so now that we're here and we're talking about Sober Talk, I can only tell you about my experience, strength, and hope. Now, let me break this whole God thing down for you. There's actually an entire section called We Agnostics in this particular book. And in the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, it does break it down in the second step, basically like that whole thing where it's like it breaks it down. Even if you're an atheist, you're perfectly fine. Okay? All you have to do is believe in something. You can believe in the forces of nature that work within the scientific world. That is totally acceptable. Okay? That is totally acceptable. I have heard stories. I kid you not. There was a guy that his higher power was a tree. Not a joke. His higher power was a tree. Out great until someone cut down his tree. He had to go find a different tree. So that'll work just fine. And sometimes even all of that seems like bullshit to some new alcoholics and those that insist on not living. Hey, what's going on? If it isn't our dear friend the only vault girl. Dear friend of ours, she went by a totally different name. Now she's going by something totally different now. Don't mess me up. I know her real name, though. She's a sweetheart. And her husband, psychopath Jason Killer, absolutely fantastic married couple that I enjoy whenever they're here with us in, within, they're just key people within the Maverick Nation. Maverick Nation has a lot of couples that are regulars here on the Prince Magnum channel. We are very fortunate to have so many married couples. Yeah, yeah, a tree, not a joke. I knew another guy. His higher power was his dog, not a joke. That was until his dog got hit by a car, ironically enough. So he had to go get a new dog. You know, some people that's what they need, and sometimes for members of AA, sometimes we actually use the term God. We'll use it in a different we'll turn it into an acronym. Good orderly direction from good old drunks. That's actually what we'll say. And you'll hear me say, I will use prayer and meditation to try to expand my conscious contact with my higher power. But the reality of it is I don't hear my higher power speak to me through the rustling of the leaves. That's funny. I like that. Hey, whatever it takes, right? Whatever it takes. So here we are, again, we're talking about, higher power sort of thing. Now, even though this is sober talk, let me kind of give you an idea. In Alcoholics Anonymous, there's people of many religions, many ethnic backgrounds, different sexual orientation, you name it. As a matter of fact, and I've made jokes about this. I am a neo-pagan. Okay, I stay very closely to the Norse religion. As a matter of fact, the higher power I turn to in my sobriety is not a god. It is actually a goddess, the Norse goddess Freya. Now, normally I don't mention that in AA meetings, and normally I don't mention that here in Sober Talk, but for the purposes of the question, I'm gonna do that, okay? I'm gonna actually say this. But in one particular meeting, on one side of me was a Catholic priest. On the other side of me was a Muslim. Interesting, right? So I actually have made this into an AA joke where a pagan, a Catholic, and a Muslim walk into an AA meeting. The chairperson looks up and says, "Oh, well, welcome back." So basically, a pagan, a Muslim, and a Catholic priest walk into an AA meeting, and the chairperson looks up and says, "What the hell is this? Some sort of a fucking joke?" So that I actually told that joke in an AA meeting, and everyone laughed and thought it was funny. And number 3. Right. So, and believe it or not, where I live, that's kind of an unusual situation. We have a lot. I live in Missouri, and Missouri is part of the Bible Belt. I'm not kidding you. You have a lot of backwoods, redneck Bible thumpers. And so a pagan in this area going into an AA meeting in a church of all places is considered abnormal. Along with that, having a Muslim in this area, the Bible Belt, basically in a nutshell, it's the part of the Midwest that you have a lot of Pentecostal and non-denominational Christians, Baptists. It's a lot of Protestant religions. And the hard part of dealing with that is we are talking backwoods, redneck Bible thumpers, okay? And it's like the whole this whole Midwest area. And like I said, Missouri is part of that Bible Belt area. Just serious Bible thumpers. As a matter of fact, I will go so far as to, and I'm going to kind of basically take off the aura of AA for just a moment and say that they get upset when I a pagan start actually telling what the actual 10 commandments are. They get really upset. I mean, they get so upset because thank goodness you don't have to deal with it. They get really upset. Okay, that's kind of an interesting story in itself. But give me just a second, because I actually will go so far and basically say, okay, you guys, you Christians in here in the Bible Belt cannot Old Testament. Okay, Moses went up to the mountain. He got the commandments, came back down. He smashed them. Then he went back up, and he was supposed to get the same set. He didn't. The ones he brought back down, the first three were close to the same. They were almost the same, but then the rest of them changed. And my personal favorite of those is number 10. Read that sometime, okay? This is but anyhow, now that I've said that, number 10 is my personal favorite. I'll have to tell that one on an in your face video. That's really funny. But anyhow, I'm bad. But anyhow, so now that I've done that, now that I've done, had my fun there. In Alcoholics Anonymous, we don't usually talk about that, but to answer your question, so did your beliefs help you stop drinking, and how did you become a pagan? Now that's a good question. The first, to answer the first part of your question, my beliefs eventually would help me stop drinking. You have to have a certain level of pride, and I guess you could say I because of my beliefs, I have kind of like a warrior's mentality. I guess you could say. I know that sounds stupid, but that's the best way I can describe it. I'm Native American, so I still have some of those traditions deeply ingrained in myself, and being pagan. So yeah. You're not quite. The other set. Not those, the other set. Keep reading. That's no. Keep reading. Keep going through it. We'll time. I'll read it sometime for y'all. It's hilarious. Or I could just post the video sometime in the community page. It's really funny. You guys will enjoy it. But anyhow, basically the survival instinct kicked in, and so a lot of my pagan beliefs eventually would kick in and kind of lead me to go get help. But of course, it took a good people. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. It would play in as a factor. AA is very big about if there are certain religious beliefs, bring them with you. The steps and what we teach in AA should never, ever, ever go against anybody's religious beliefs. Fact. And it even says to consult your spirit, people of like the clergy or anything like that. They tell you to get prayers from them that'll help you, whatever the case may be. It's in Exodus. I would have to look it up. I would have to look it up for you guys, but it's sober talk, and I'm really not supposed to talk religion and sober talk, but it is there. It is there. It is in Exodus. It's right after where Moses comes down and smashes the original commandments and that whole ordeal. When he got ticked off about that's what, yeah. That's where you'll find it, is after that. Just keep reading. You'll find it. It's hilarious. Yeah, it's like that. That's definitely in your face worthy. but I've even got some militant Christians in my family, and I'm that regularly bash my beliefs, and I'm getting ready to deal with that in my own personal way. Yeah. Um, so now that I've said that, again, I became a pagan all the way back in 2000. Really, and see, send them my way. If they want to talk to me, that I'll be glad to talk to them, whatever they need. And I think you've got my email address, Kevin. Send it to them. And as soon as they contact me, I'll send them my phone number. If they want to talk, I'll talk to them. That's you guys know how I am. So, you got to remember with the whole God thing, it's whatever you are. Can't find it. Don't worry. We'll go into. Actually, I'll help you guys out. Give me a second here because I know a lot of you really, really want this one. And I don't want to deny you guys of this. Yeah, yeah. We'll put that one up. Hold on a second. A man of many talents. Here's a guy that I occasionally watch, and he's absolutely just a brilliant, brilliant person. I will give you this, and this will help you guys out. All right. There you go. And there you are. MLB, that's the link that you just see posted. That's the video you need to check out. That is a guy named Aaron Ra, and he goes out of his way to stop those in the Bible Belt from ruining education. That's a thing. Um, yeah, don't even get me started. But anyhow, so now that I've said all of that, there we go. And I definitely recommend. I definitely recommend watching that, spending some time with it. Um, if you want something that will definitely kind of make you, to me, it's funny. Some people won't find it as funny. All right, so now I got that all cleared up for y'all. Now we can carry on. And give me just Sean, you still in the background? You got my email address. Could you post it for me? I'm being lazy at the moment. Okay. Um, that'll help you all out. Because I could try to explain it all day, and eventually I'm just gonna have to do a video on it. Unless you're in the Bible Belt, then it's different. Yeah. Okay. Sean, you the man. Thank you so much. There's my email address. If any of y'all need to get in touch with me, want to talk, and kind of ask some questions that kind of go beyond sober talk, or you just need to talk, shoot me your email address. I have no problem giving you my phone number. Okay? That's a good question. No, I can't. I never, for whatever reason, I don't know what happens. Let me kind of go back in my history. Um, when I really started taking off drinking when I truly started taking off in the whole drinking thing. I kid you not. Um, I started drinking heavily at the age of 21. And I'd already been drunk several times before then, but the gloves were off. And at the age of 23, I attempted on my own to put it down. I was done. Um, Matter of fact, it was August 13th, 2003, when I attempted to put down alcohol for the first time on my own. I made it to almost 2005, okay? But for whatever reason, when I picked up a drink, thank you. When I pick up a drink, I just, it's like I never actually stopped. And in a lot of cases, it's like I'm worse. So, if you will, think of where normal everyday people are, okay? You guys walk along and you do your normal everyday thing. But with the alcoholic, you have the normal everyday person, but your disease of alcoholism is right over here progressing with you. Even though you're not drinking, it's still progressing. So, if you will, as soon as I take a drink, I'm right back here. It's not like it has to catch up. It's totally different. It's running parallel with me. That's why you'll hear me say, when I wake up in the morning, I'm an alcoholic. When I go to bed, I'm an alcoholic. I wake up and go to bed with my disease of alcoholism. So even though it's been 14 and a half years since my last drink, the disease has actually progressed. So if I picked up right now, it'd be a worse explosion than ever before. So I can never safely have just a beer. Okay? And I will tell you right now, I never had one of anything back in the day. Never had one of anything. Ever. Ever. Uh, I always wanted more. And also remember, oh, you go right on ahead, Kevin. So to answer that question, again, I never could just drink what you guys call responsibly. I always drank for oblivion. Okay? I drank to get drunk. If I said I was going out to have a drink or I was just going to have a drink, I was lying. I hate it when that happens. I hate it when that happens. So if you guys get that where I'm saying, thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. So just kind of bear that in mind, okay? I wake up with my disease of alcoholism. I go to bed with that disease of alcoholism. Plain and simple. And it's always there. It is always there. It doesn't stop. And when you talk about alcoholism, there's actually, again, if you will, it is a weird disease. On one side, everyone talks about the physical compulsion and the withdrawals and things like that to drink. And then they think that all it is just that. There is more going on with the alcoholic. When we were talking about the steps, when it goes into that whole thing of talking about steps 4 through 9, basically dealing with, the wreckage, what we call the wreckage of the past. When you start looking in your fourth step, you're writing about, your resentments, who you're resentful at, and how and what did it affect. Then, um, I wish it was that easy. Uh, I wish that the day would come when they could give us a magic pill and I could drink like everybody else, but that day is not here. Um, and finding the cure for alcoholism, or for that matter, drug addiction, isn't. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that. You know, if you will, that day isn't here yet, and I'm kind of glad in a way because there's a whole nother side of alcoholism that a lot of people don't think about. And that is, if you will, the mental aspect of it all, the psychological aspect. So with alcoholism, there's a head full of bad wiring that goes along with it. And I make jokes about this all the time, so I'll make the joke again. I am a former center of the universe. I think the whole world should revolve around me. And out of all the AA members that I have ever met, I have an ego. I have probably one of the biggest ego problems ever. Now that I've said that, there is a reason why I have the biggest ego problem of pretty much of all the AA members that I have ever met, because I'm the one who hated myself the most. You got it. There you go. You got it. So no, I mean, I get it. So if you will, there's a whole mindset that goes along with alcoholism. So in my head, let me give you guys an idea. And I know this happens to everybody, but the alcoholic will carry it to an extreme case, and it's ridiculous how far we'll take this. If you will, okay. When I used to work nursing, and this is when it was a common problem. Say I was getting ready to push my med, I'm pushing my med cart down the hall, and I hear my coworkers at the other, the end that I just came from talking, and I don't know. I think I'll be honest with you. I don't know why we don't focus more on psychological medicine. I really don't. Um, we just don't. We really should. Dr. Young, we could use him still continuing the studies. Um, and for the record, AA has also used many quotes by Dr. Young. As a matter of fact, I'd probably crack open my book and eventually find some stuff from Dr. Young. Um, yeah. Uh, right now, it's one of those things that, yeah. What I started to talk about is this happened a lot. I'd say I was pushing my med cart down the hall. My coworkers would be at the other end where I was just coming from. They'd be talking, and I'd turn around and look down the hall and say they all of a sudden started laughing, and then say one of them, while laughing, happened to look in my direction. Somehow they were laughing at me. I think that I'm that important. Okay. And I know a lot of people deal with that, but then it's like, I'm going to get back at those son of a, and I will find ways to screw with them. Okay. And get under their skin and things like that. Just because I'm carrying around this resentment that probably had nothing to do with me. So I mean, so if to give you an idea of the mindset. And then while I'm doing this, I'm drinking to numb the pain of this ego problem. Okay? I'm drinking to numb the pain of this ego problem, and they probably weren't even talking about me at all. There's a more than an excellent chance they weren't even talking about me. They were just telling a joke, and one of them happened to look in my direction. But this is an example of the mindset that goes with alcoholism. I have to avoid gossip gerties at my job. I have to avoid them because if I get around them long enough, I become a gossip Gertie just because it's sick behavior, and we alcoholics love sick behavior. We love it. And it does nothing to further, it's not productive, and it's not healthy. It's not healthy for me. It's not healthy for anybody else. So I have to avoid those gossip Gerties at all cost. And, so we alcoholics like sick behavior. So again, we're back to, that whole mental thing. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So again, we're back to that whole mindset, and you know, with the mental mindset, we talk ourselves into our next drunk. We have the physical compulsion, but if you will, the mindset that goes with it, um, yeah, it was a very dangerous mindset. And then if you're an alcoholic of a violent tendency, it's even worse. And the violent tendency, you have to remember, violent alcoholics are very interesting people. The violence comes out when they're drunk, but the truth of it is they're thinking about the violence the whole time. It's just that the alcohol lowers the inhibitions. What is happening that they're so angry? The head full of bad wiring. So you know exactly, yeah. And that's a sick behavior that just kind of goes with people in general, but the alcoholic thrives on it. We live on it. Oh, thank you, Queen. Thank you. Appreciate that. What's going on, Midnight Cool? Oh, you'll have to call me sir. We're all equals here on the Prince Magnum channel. We're all equals. And it is so good to see you, Midnight Cool. So again, like I said, a lot of people don't talk about the mindset that goes with being an alcoholic. It really, there is an entire mindset that goes with it. And again, I know a lot of people are like, oh yeah, the mindset, a lot of people, even at AA, we glance over it, really. Yeah, you know, good gossip. I like that. And that's how we turn a frown upside down. that's that's all right, MLB. You can, if you feel that way, you run with it, okay? You you go right on ahead. You go right on ahead. Um, I'm just a humble guy trying to give a message. I think that's fair. I'm just a humble man who has a message to tell. Um, and that's just how I feel. Uh, so now that I've said all of that, again, that's really good. Sorry about that. Spicy cinnamon, I love it. Sorry about that. We had a brief moment. The Sunnies were trying to start a chat, in Messenger. I'm like, I can't. I got to finish the. You got to do sober talk tonight. I'll holler at y'all. Yep, live smack dab in the middle of the United States, right in the middle of the Bible Belt. Anyhow, live notch of the Bible Belt. Um, so it's just one of those things. Now, um, so now that we have, kind of went on about that, and that sort of thing. Um, everybody's favorite sweet pea, cinnamon, right? um, you know, it's fucked up. That's fucked up. Anyhow, everybody's favorite sweet pea, cinnamon. I'm gonna start using that now. Um, So now that I've talked about that and told, kind of, these are really awesome questions. I love questions like that kind of dive into the mindset of an alcoholic. And honestly, I don't even feel I'm doing it full justice. Poor kid, he's gonna lose his shit. Um, so again, Alcoholics Anonymous, quite a few states west. We're talking Midwest United States. Start thinking Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, Illinois, places around, and yeah. That's a really, oh my God, that's funny. That's funny. So, um, and I have actually been in AA meetings where they started talking a lot of religion, and I turned around and to shut them up, I started talking a little bit about mine. And I said, and I see a lot of you getting really angry. I'm going to say it right now. Do not bring your religion up again, you know? Ooh, yeah, we're going to have to. We're going to have to. We're going to have to raid. We're going to have to raid Ian. But, again, just kind of take that into consideration. When we're talking, you know, AA, you also have to understand that would be weird. Oh, look, it's Jimmy Hoffa. That's actually a joke I have at work. You know, and I even tell at work because I have a certain level of pride in myself. I will say that my work is speaks who I am. Actions speak louder than words. I could talk. Alcoholics talk a big game. We really do. We're amazing. We're amazing at talking. But now that I've said that we're amazing at talking, the truth of it is that actions speak louder than words. And that's why there's an entire series dedicated to Princess Faye, because I could talk about romance all day, but showing it is a whole nother ballgame. So at work, I have a work ethic that everyone, really? That's funny. That's funny. So just kind of bear that in mind. So that's something that Sober Man taught me a long time ago. He said, I remember this is true story, true story. Really? That's cool as hell. That's cool as hell. So you do quite a bit. That's pretty cool, MLB. That is really awesome. Um, so, um, where was I? Come on, brain cell. I only got two left from all the drinking I did, and only one of them works right, I think. So in sobriety, like I said, I have had a lot of, I've got a lot of stories, but this is probably one of the most important ones that Sober Man had really taught me. I was sitting there one day, I was going on about how grateful I was to what he's taught me, and, yeah, talking about work ethic. Well, this ties into it. And he said, I was talking about how, yeah, I know, Queen, I know. Um, it was, I was going on and on about how grateful I was and everything, and he's just sitting there smiling, and I'm like, and Sober Man looks at me when I finally took a breath, and he says, "You done?" I said, "Yeah, I'm done." And then he smiles real big. And he says, "Don't tell me you're grateful. Show me. We alcoholics are the biggest talkers, and we can bullshit our way in and out of anything we want. So don't tell me you're grateful. Show me." And how do you do that? Through service work and sponsorship. Well, from that, I also learned that Oftentimes she is the one that has to. She's a lot of times my memory anymore. Um, so now, uh, so now that I've said that, that whole thing has carried over into my work ethic. A lot of focus on my actions speak louder than what I can do, what I say. And at work, I'm known for that. A lot of people talk about the strong work ethic that I have. It is widely known. Um, that's funny. She's probably going to say, "Yeah, that's true." It's just that is the work ethic that I'm known for, and that just came over. That just kind of carried over because your sober life should carry over into your everyday life. A lot of times, I often say that even for normal, everyday people who have no idea what Alcoholics Anonymous is about. Yeah, politicians. Um, so now that I've said that, if you will, uh, yeah, I've got three cats that are batshit crazy. Um, so that was something that Sober Man had also taught me early on was that your sober life should carry over into your regular everyday life. Because a lot of times, even with people that have no idea what Alcoholics Anonymous is all about, has never read the big book, sometimes you are the first copy of the big book that those people will ever come into contact with. Yeah. Right. So that is actually something that he taught me early on in sobriety. And so when I say that that I try to live my sober life, that is exactly what I mean. Now, does that mean I'm perfect at it? Oh, hell no. Hell no. Some days some days I'm so far off the mark. Uh, and the best I could say is I didn't drink that day. That's honest goodness truth. There are a lot of days I fall completely short of what it was supposed to be. That's just part of being human. I am a human being first and I'm a sober alcoholic second. Then that doesn't give me an excuse to go out and be an asshole, but it does mean that if I fall short, I have steps and tools that'll help me get back on track. Just something to think about. Um, so now that I've said that, and again, just take to heart that, I try to be the best sober alcoholic I can be. Human don't know. Right. So just bear that in mind. I am not. Last time I checked, I am not glowing with holy light, despite sometimes the lighting you see behind me. Right. You know, so so that's why I'm insistent on, I will say this right now. If I ever did relapse, it's not because AA failed, it's because I'd failed at my own sobriety, you know. Yeah. Yeah, at least I didn't drink today. Yeah. Well, to me, there's no such thing as a bad day. Demonic light. That's funny, sis. For those who don't know, Hannah is actually my little sister. She's my little sister, who's actually a year younger than my oldest daughter. Hey, there are some things we alcoholics found is perfectly okay in sobriety, as long as we have a willing partner or two. Anyhow, so, uh, and now that I've said that, you know what? All right. I'm going to surprise you guys with a little bit of AA history. The One of the co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous was actually at one time he went through school to become a lawyer, and then that's all good. It's all good, Kevin. Bill W. or William Wilson. He was actually a college graduate, took his bar exam to become a lawyer, and then later on became a stock market broker, was very wealthy, and survived somewhat during the stock market crash that caused the Great Depression in 1929. That was one of the co-founders. He actually built AA World Services. That's funny. You know, but one of the co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous, he was a stock market broker, very wealthy at one point, very wealthy at one point, had more money than he knew what to do with, and at the end of it all, lost everything. But when he built AA World Services, believe it or not, he actually, you know, I'm glad you got that one day, Jesse. That's the hardest to get. Now we need to start stringing them back to back. Hey, I'll tell y'all right now, there was one of the saddest things I ever did. I thought I was gonna, hey, we got to get you back to back days. All right, Jesse, we've got to get you those back to back days. You can do it. It is possible. I will keep praying for you. And you got my email has been posted. Grab it. Send me an email. I will send you my phone number. Call and then you know to call me before you decide to pick up a drink. Okay? We will think that drink through. Okay? We will come out on the other side. You do not have to go this alone. You do not have to. If you don't want to drink anymore, thank you, Sean. If you do not want to drink anymore, you do not have to. You do not have to live that first day ever again if you don't want to. You do not have to go this alone. Hey, you're one of the best. You're one of us. I will say it again and again and again. All of you in the Maverick Nation right now, all of you, no matter where you live, no matter what's going on in your life, I'm going to tell you all right now. That's my sister for you. All of you are the best. You guys are the ones also helping me stay sober through this pandemic. There's not many AA meetings to go to. Okay? It's you guys who are supporting me right now. I mean, I can call a sober man anytime, anytime, any place, anywhere. He'll pick up and he'll talk to me. But it's you guys who are also supporting me. You know, it's you guys that are helping me get through this crazy ass mess. I'm staying sober by the support of all of you in the Maverick Nation too. It's you guys who are helping me stay sober. That's how it is. It's you guys. So if you ever wondered, and now we got a new person, who's with us here on the live stream, hearing the experience of getting sober and staying sober. Talk about phenomenal. You guys are amazing. You're now part of the story. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? You're now part of my sober story. One day we might all be, in the same room, chit chat, tallywhack, all that crazy stuff, and talking about it. And it's like, yeah, I was there that day, man. I was there that day. That's the great thing about sobriety. I'm just a mosaic. I don't know if anyone does mosaics anymore, but I'm just a mosaic of all the wonderful people that have touched my life in sobriety. Just a collage of all the wonderful people that have touched my life. Oh, don't let my sis fool you. When all the BS is, aside, she supports her big brother through and through. That's what's up. I'm glad you don't have that sort of drinking problem. But I will tell you right now, if you're one you can enjoy a drink, have one for me. Have two while you're at it. Because I am alive and well today. My alcoholism didn't kill me. I'm still here today. Now, I know there's a lot of people lurking in the background, and we have a lot of people who've not heard the story. And it's probably the greatest story that I have of living through adversity in sobriety. So I'm going to tell that story now. And Queen Bee, Sean, and Kevin Myers are very familiar with this story. But since we have so many new people in right now in Sober Talk right now, and I think even Vault Girl, who's in the background. That's what's up, Kevin. Thank you for telling us that. Thank you. But now that we're here, we're now, and we're talking about sobriety and everything. Let me say right now, I want to tell you all. That's what's up, Chad. It's good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Let me tell you all the most important story that I have in sobriety. And Princess Faye is very familiar with this story. There you go. So let me tell you all this important story. Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. So let me tell you this story. Again, most everyone in here is familiar with this story. And I know I'm going to end up having a meltdown telling this story, but it is an important one. It is one that is so important to my sobriety because I had to live through this and I had to stay sober through this mess. So here it is now. I was about a month before I got sober. I worked with this wonderful gal. Her name is Tanya. And she watched me spiral out of control. And she was there when everything came crashing down on me, when reality hit me. And when reality hit me, I realized I couldn't keep going the way I was going. And I thought that my only way out was to end it all. I came home after working a 16-hour shift at work. And for those that do not know, I used to work the medical field. I was a CNA CMT with insulin certification. After my stroke, I was forced to go into, I guess you could say, nursing retirement early at the age of 31. So here I am, I hit that wall, and she was the one that, I kid you not, when I came home to that empty apartment, I couldn't believe it had gotten that bad. I was hip, slip, and cool, and got sober that day. I did not. I went on a 2-day bend. I went on actually, it was a 3-day bender. I called out of work, and then went on a bender from hell for the next couple of days. And at the end of it, I'm hungover. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Sorry to interrupt, but I just finished something and I'm really proud of it.
Okay, let me see it, baby. Ooh, nifty. I like that.
This is my new profile picture.
I like that, baby. You guys are just going to have to go over and see it when she posts it. I'm not going to let y'all see it. You got to go over to Princess Face channel. Yeah. But anyhow.
Thank you. That was my ego boost for the day.
There you go. I like that. That's neat. So now that I've said that, I came home. I came home to an empty apartment, went on a bender from hell for the next few days, and I'm hungover. This is the end for me. It just wasn't the end I thought it was going to be. I sit down on my couch, hungover, and I grab my 357 Magnum, loaded all 6 chambers, and I've made jokes in AA meetings about this. That I loaded all 6 chambers. I guess I thought I was going to miss. So if I'm going to miss that close, I probably shouldn't be trying suicide. That's the joke that I tell. But I loaded all 6 chambers of my 357. And I decide that I'm going to end it all. I cock the hammer, tilt my chin back, put the barrel under my chin. And I'm just starting to squeeze that trigger. Okay? Just starting to squeeze it. And the phone rings. And I jumped and almost pulled the trigger anyways. And let me tell you all, even if I'd have moved a minuscule inch or two, a 357 with the type of round that I had loaded in there would have killed me. So it's amazing that gun did not go off. A revolver, a Smith & Wesson revolver, double action, it should have went off, but it didn't. So now that I've said that, amazingly enough, it did not go off. And to this day, I don't know why I picked up the phone, but I did. And it was Tanya. She said, Prince Magnum, what are you doing right now? I said, I'm sitting here on the couch. She said, what are you really doing? I said, I'm sitting here on the couch. I've got my 357 Magnum. I was just about to end it all. And she started chewing me out because of the fact that, typical non-alcoholic friend, she started chewing me out. And she's like, put that thing up. I said, well, shouldn't I uncock it first, maybe unload it? And she's like, yeah, you smart ass, you should. I was trying to keep it light, I didn't like her yelling at me. And she proceeded after that to chew me out for the next half an hour. And then she talked me into going to outpatient treatment. And of course, outpatient treatment talked me into Alcoholics Anonymous. That story we're all familiar with, okay? The rest of that is history. Go to my first few meetings, and Tanya was my biggest supporter. When all of my friends or all my family had turned their backs on me, Tanya was there. She was the one that was my biggest supporter. Everyone else had given up on me. They, give him a couple weeks, he'll be back to it. She's like, no, this is a little different. This is a little different for him. We need to support him. She was the only one. In that time, I would start experiencing, it took a few weeks and I started experiencing withdrawals. And the pain was great. It was horrible. She was oftentimes the one that held me while I was going through those withdrawals. Yeah, I know, Raphael, I need to, but I haven't yet. Drinking too much coffee and that, yeah. You take care, Kevin. Love you, brother. So here I am, going through withdrawals. She was the one holding me when I would experience withdrawals. So for the first month and a half of my sobriety, she was my biggest supporter. So here I am experiencing, these withdrawals, and she was my biggest supporter in that first month and a half. She was getting ready to go through a divorce, and I was single. My fiance had packed up our two daughters and left. So here I am now. You know, all by my lonesome. And um, in that first month and a half, I started, you know, having feelings, and I started to fall in love with Tanya. I didn't say anything because she was dating my best friend, even though she was going through a divorce. She was dating my best friend at the time. So I didn't think it would be wise. I'd done enough damage for one lifetime. Um, you know, so that was kind of how I felt about it. And I kept to myself. Well, the day comes that she gets, she watches me make a month sober, and I'm start to work towards 2 months. And here I am, I'm in love with her, and this is on a Tuesday. I'm getting ready to start my fourth step, but I wasn't going to start until I talked to Tanya. And bear in mind, I'm in love with her, madly in love with her. And I started kind of confessing that I had feelings. I didn't quite say the words. And, I started telling her, and she's like, no one has ever said anything like this to me. And I said, well, I'm saying it. So that was the start of it. This was on a Tuesday. Wednesday, she's actually telling our director of nursing, I think I may have made a mistake. A little bit different here in the US. A little bit different. It's a totally different ball game. People do whatever, It's one of those things. People just kind of do whatever. So now that I've said that, yeah, it's totally different here in the United States. They see it all the time. People do it all the time. So now that I've said that, yeah, Wednesday she was actually telling our director of nursing that she may have made a mistake seeing my best friend. Teabag. Wrong stream, Mike. Uh-oh, I think Ian's about to raid us. Ah, Ian! Raiding us, Ian, huh? That's what's up. Now I'm gonna have to get you back, Ian. We're being raided, folks. It's been a while since we've been raided. That is what's up. That's what's up. It's awesome, Ian. Thank you. Thank you. So now I'm gonna have to turn the tables on you sometime. So now that I've said that, oh no, you're good. Teabag Ray, that's what's up. That's what's up. So here we are, thank you, Ian. I appreciate that, man. I was in your other stream earlier. I was just in the background lurking. I was working on a video. So I didn't get a chance to say anything. As usual, I was there supporting you, but just yeah. So here this is, so now by Friday, Tanya is going into the hospital with what looks like pneumonia. Now, for the record, the autopsy report is still inconclusive. We don't know. We don't know what caused all of this. Tanya then, they tell you how great of a gal she was. All of evening shift, at the end of our shift, we clocked out and went over to the hospital and sat in the waiting room to see if we could, go back and see her and so, kind of show her that, hey, we're here for you. All of us on evening shift and including the charge nurses, all clocked out. We went over directly to support Tanya. Tanya, we didn't get a chance to go back. She was in ICU. This was a Friday. Went home, and I ended up working a double shift Saturday. And evidently, Tanya had talked to my best friend and said, hey, I need to see Prince Magnum about something. There's something I need to talk to him about. And he's like, what's it about? He said, she's like, no, I can't tell you anymore. This is just between him and I. And he told me this Saturday night. And I said, okay, well, I'll get over there tomorrow and see her. I basically told work to screw off, that this is important. I went and bought a dozen of roses, got all dressed up and everything, was going over to the hospital to see Tanya. And this is now Sunday. I get over to the hospital about noon. No, I take that back. It was probably about 3 in the afternoon, 3 o'clock p.m. And, I start to see if I could go back and see Tanya. And her sister stopped me. Said, Prince Magnum, you can't go back. Why can't I go back? Here I am, all dressed up, a dozen of roses. You can't go back. Because Tanya died twice and they brought her back. What's going on, Emily? I am doing fantastic. I'm actually telling a story of one of the toughest stories I had to get through in sobriety, one of the toughest. And I was still very fresh in sobriety because we have some new people here. So it said, oh, well, welcome, Emily. Welcome anyways. So they said, you can't go back. Tanya she died twice. They brought her back and she's in a coma right now. So there I was, I was getting ready to go back and tell her exactly how I felt, that I was madly in love with her. So I went into the waiting room, ended up meeting her dad. He comes over and he says, who are you? And I said, I told him who I was, gave him my real name, obviously. And he's, where do you know Tanya? I said, we work together. He said, oh, okay, cool. And he said, just out of curiosity, sir. I said, who are you? He said, well, I'm Tanya's dad. And I said, oh, and I jumped to my feet immediately. And I said, let me shake the hand of the man whose daughter saved my life. And he says, excuse me? And I repeated myself. He said, I'm not following you. So I told him my sober story up to that point. And he puts his arm around me and says, anything you need, son, you let us know. If we can get it, we will. I was there all the way to 3 o'clock in the morning. So I was there for 12 hours. And we are doing fantastic. Galaxy is over here right behind me, sitting in a box, being cute. The other two roaming around somewhere. Taver has taken it upon himself to adopt little Zelda There you go. Yeah, Ian's an amazing guy. Amazing guy. We all love him here. So now that I've said that, I was there for like 12 hours, if I remember correctly. It really starts blending together. Called sober man, told him what was going on and everything. And, it was really tough. At about 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, I got to go home and get some rest. I said, but I'll come back up here first thing in the morning. Oh, the black kitty? That's Galaxy. Yeah, Galaxy's in a box. Oh, she decided to take off. But yeah, that's Galaxy. She's our black cat. So now that I've said that, I get back in the morning and we do have a very beautiful family. Very beautiful. We get back in the morning and, I get back there in the morning and they said that Tanya had died again that night and they brought her back. And I'm like, basically her dad sat everyone down, including all of his friends, and said, okay, here's the scoop. We've talked about this, and if Tanya goes again, we're going to let her go. They're going to start letting us all go back and see her in small groups. But if she goes again, we're going to let her go. Okay? We can't just keep doing this. That's what's up. Yeah, you gotta, yeah. We love our little fur babies, our four-legged fur babies. And he pulled me aside. He said, we just can't keep doing this to her. I said, I know this is not how she would want to live. He said, doctors say that she'll just be a vegetable after all of this if, she lives through it. I said, well, that's fair. I think this is the best decision. I said, I don't like it, but it is the best decision. He said, well, I'm glad you understand. I said, the rest of the family's not taking this very well. I said, they will in time. Right now, it's still very fresh. I said, but we have to be pragmatic about this. So I was as okay as you could be. It's the reality. I was as okay as you could be. Well, the family then, they didn't take it very well. At about noon, I said, I need to run home. I need to get ready for work. I'll be right back. And I was true to my word. Got right back there after getting ready for work. And they finally let us, the group of us friends that were all very close, go back. My best friend, a friend of mine that I'm still friends with her, but we just don't talk anymore. We really don't. I wouldn't say that we've grown apart, but we just don't talk. It's kind of one of those friends that's kind of faded into the background. They do their own thing. I do mine. And then myself, just three of us. We got to go back to see Tanya. I went over to the right side of the bed. They were on the other side. I held her hand. Hand was so cold. She had all these tubes and heart monitors just sticking out of her. And before we went back, her dad says, if, tell her if she wants to let go, she can. I had to be the one. I leaned down and I said, if you're tired and you want to let go, we'll be okay. I was the one who had to say it. No one else had the courage to. Out of us friends, I had to be the one. There I was, madly in love with her. I had to be the one. On top of that, somehow I inherited 2 1-month coins. And I put one with her. And I said, wherever you go, no matter what happens, I want you to take this with you. Because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't even have gotten that. I wouldn't even be here right now. And I made sure her dad knew that. Went to work. 3 o'clock. Just shortly after 6, the director of nursing comes back. And she said, I'm glad you're sitting down. I was doing some paperwork. I'm glad you're sitting down. I have bad news. Tanya just passed away. The woman that talked me into getting sober and held me through withdrawals, the woman I was madly in love with, that I was going to tell that I was in love with, had just passed away. She never got to hear the words. I'm sorry. It's been over 14 years and it's still hard to talk about. I'm so sorry, guys. March 20th, I'll never forget that day. After the funeral, I got to work on my 4th step. I kept going. What's going on, Viable? Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing good. So now that I've said that, if there's one thing that I hope you all take from this story, because the story still has a happy ending. I was just telling one of the hardest stories that I had to get through, in my sobriety. It's one of the toughest stories. Yeah, I was just telling the story about the woman I was in love with that helped me get into sobriety. And if it hadn't been for her, I wouldn't be here right now. I was in love with her and she passed away before I had a chance to tell her I was in love with her. And I was a month and a half sober at that time. So it's still hard for me to talk about. And believe it or not, I just feel shaky all over telling that story. And I just choke back some tears. And if there's one thing that I hope that you can take from this story is that at day's end, if you're struggling with alcoholism, you can ooh, yeah. Yeah, a lot of people, we've jumped up to over 600 cases here in St. Francis County. So if there's one thing that you take from this story is that you can stay sober. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, thank you, Ian. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. If there's anything you could take from my story, is you can stay sober through anything if you want it bad enough. If you want to stay sober, there's nothing you can't get through. Right. You pretty well stay to yourself, sis. You know, you kind of get that from the rest of the family. Right on, V. Right on. So that's just it. Right. You can get sober. You can stay sober through adversity. And that he's somewhere in the background. He's lurky turkey. Right, sis. You know, that's what it's all about. You know, you got some good news for me? Well, lay it on me. Lay it on me, V. Give me that good news. Oh, goodness. Mm. Ooh, there you go. You're going to have to make sure I know. I want to be there. Be there or be square, right? That's what's up. So that is what I hope you all take from my story. There you go. There you go. But I want to be there. Don't forget to use the community post. So all your peeps can be over there. You know, you guys are awesome. So again, I know that's a gut-wrenching story for everybody. It's a gut-wrenching story for me. And for the record, Princess Faye does know this story very well. Um, she's actually went to Tanya's gravesite with me, which we need to go and see her. Need to go tell her that I'm still sober, you know. Concrete block. That is not a concrete block. It's good stuff, Maynard. That's what's up. Well, all right. We are now at that stage where I do need to go take care of my blood sugar. The emotions have just ripped me to shreds, and I'm all of a sudden beginning to notice that my blood sugar is beginning to get a little bit lower. So I need to go take care of said. Oh no. Yeah. No, no, you can't. That is it. Believe it or not, once you slice into that crust, it's light and fluffy, and has a wonderful texture. The gluten structure really provides a good texture for it. It's really good, really good. You'd have to try it to understand it. I'm telling you. Don't be making fun of my bread. Queen Bee will get upset with you. She wants to try that. She's like, it looks good. You hush, and she'll tell you. But any hoopty doo. Yes. Oh my gosh. So I love you, V. Love you, brother. Oh yeah, well you got to do it. Got to do it. Um, I do need to go and pick up some ingredients for one of our next live streams. It's going to be a $5 cooking challenge from Dollar Tree. I have to do that one. Uh, oh, Princess Faye, she bread baking is about the most she'll let me do anymore. As far as baking, she won't let. No, no, she doesn't. She won't agree with you. She likes my homemade bread. She'll tell you that. She likes my homemade bread. Oh, it can be. Talking about my bread, honey. The bread making.
What?
We're talking about my bread making. Viable thinks it's got to be like a concrete block.
Oh.
And no, it's not, is it?
Okay. I'm just frustrated my icon's the same still.
It hasn't updated yet.
I know. It's making me mad.
Really? Come on.
Well, you don't.
Give me just a second. Done. Here we go. There you go. Thank you. Thank you. I think everybody's just, it's not right. Okay. So, Princess Faye will tell you, that I bake some really nice, some really nice bread. So, now that I've said that, let's start looking ahead at the week. There will be a makeup live stream somewhere in the next few days. Okay, somewhere between either tomorrow and Sunday, there will be a makeup live stream. Now, depending on when that makeup live stream happens, will also determine what on the $5 cooking challenge. um, so that's just kind of how it is. So we're kind of up in the air, but we're not. I have to go over to Dollar Tree and get the ingredients for. How it's basically I have a $5 cooking challenge. It's a Sonny's challenge, and it's a $5 cook-off. I'm the one who issued the challenge to the Sonnies. And so that is where we're going to do this. And at some point, I do want to bake another loaf of bread and turn it into Sean. See? Anyhow. Oh my gosh, B. All right, so now that I've said that, there has to be a $5 there has to be a $5 cooking challenge, and it has to be a $5 dinner for two. Thank you, honey. So now that I've said that, I'm the one that I might have to pull that one off, and I bet I could do it. I know I could do it. Actually, from Dollar Tree, it is kind of a challenge because I have to do a dinner for two, and it has to taste really good. And hey, what's going on, Mystical? Welcome to the live. There's our sweet dear friend, Mystical Dorcas. Another one that I met over in, believe it or not, Choices Games live streams when he used to live stream, and just absolutely a fantastic lady. Ooh, I might have to try that. I might have to pull that one off. But anyhow. Mm. Don't worry, honey. It'll update. It'll update. And Mystical, I think, well, Mystical, you're going to have to rewind so you can hear that story again. I don't know if you've heard the story about Tanya. There you go. Well, you got to focus on school. Got to get that education, a lot of wonderful people in here who I met during Choices Games live streams, and a lot of wonderful people. But yes, somewhere in this mess, there will be a makeup live stream, and it'll be Princess Faye deciding how I look. So you all will get to enjoy your live stream with your favorite hostess, Cinnamon. Yeah, I said it. Along with that, there will also, again, be the $5 cook-off with the Sunnies. And there has been now a challenge issued where at some point down the road, now I'm going to have to do a $3 challenge. And it has to be vegetarian. So I can do that. I can do that, actually. Why not chili? Oh my gosh, you guys are awesome. Bread mate. So it's going to be exciting. So now that I've also said all of that, along with that, at some point, you guys are, I might have to try, I might have to do that. Depends. It depends. Bread drums. And at some point, I might even try to do a cooking challenge. Well, actually, I might have to do BLTs. Make up my homemade bread and make some BLTs. Already, Princess Faye is like, we want that one. We want that one. I will have to make homemade bread and make some BLTs out of them. But I a whole new level. I am doing fantastic, and I hope you're doing well, Mystical. I'll tell you how fantastic I am. I woke up this morning, and I had a miracle happen to me today. Motherfucker. I woke up this morning, and I had a miracle happen to me today. I found it not necessary to take a drink. And any day that happens is truly a miracle. It truly is. It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. Trying to restart, honey. Actually, it's been a beautiful summer day here in Missouri. No humidity, wonderful breeze, and it's been absolutely warm. It actually feels like it should be like late spring, early summer, and it never gets like this in August here in Missouri, but it is. And the last few days, it's been kind of like that, and it's really nice. No, I haven't, but I might have to try. So it's been beautiful here in Missouri. So now that I've said all of this, just kind of, there will be at least a couple of cooking live streams. We're going to try and squeeze in maybe some DIY car stuff on Project Lena. If you're in the background, some time with Project Lena. I know you're tired. You're not the hugest fan of Project Spirit. You like Spirit, but Lena, you're the president of the Project Lena fan club. Oh, I'm sorry, V. I hope the weather gets a little bit better where you're at. And so that is the plan. We're going to try to squeeze in as much DIY as possible this weekend. And I know Monday at some point. See what I mean? It's crazy weather. And I know you're out on the West Coast. Well, you up in Canada. But
I was trying to get it to change on my profile so that when I would type in chat, it could be seen.
Is it not updated
But
yet?
it's not updating. It still has Galaxy as the picture, which is fine. But if you wanted to show it off, because I know you
Okay.
like that.
This is what Princess Faye has. This is going to be her new icon once it updates. Isn't that neat?
I know you like to show off my work, and I'm
Yes.
quite proud of this myself.
So we're going to try. It's going to be a busy weekend. Now, heads up, the second week of September, I will be taking a week off from streaming. Princess Faye has issued that order. But it'll all be uploaded content. And by that time, we'll have, hopefully I'll have a brand new computer to work with. If not, I'll figure something out. I'm hoping I do.
Remember, you can upload content, but you can't work on content.
Well, I got a lot of work ahead of me. So that is where we are at. I love the blue oranges. I love that. All right, so that is where we're at. We streamed a little longer than anticipated. I've got to go take care of my blood sugar. Again, I want to thank you all for being here with me. This is what Sober Talk is all about. You all are here listening to my story. There you go. There you go. I'm glad that you are all here. You guys are a part of my story. How you all continue to support me. I'm going to tell you, I'm a very selfish alcoholic. Yes, I will go eat, Queen. I will go take care of me. I am still a very selfish alcoholic. How selfish? Not only do I still need all the members of Alcoholics Anonymous, but I still need you guys too. Every last one of you to help me stay sober. That's pretty doggone selfish considering there's over 1,000 of you. I'm that selfish. But this is still life and death for me. If I drink again, I wouldn't be here. So that brings us to the spot. And traditionally, we have a certain way that we exit out of my normal streams. But for Sober Talk, I have a very, very special one for you guys. This is how we exit out here in Sober Talk. At day's end, I hope all of you need me as much as I. Oh, tell your mom thank you so much. You have an idea for me? What is it? If it's about playing drums on a loaf of bread, I'm. Ian's still live? Oh, hang on. Grab his link. Let's do a raid. Queen, would you grab his link? We're going to stay live for just a few more moments. Grab his link. He swears up and down the bread, my homemade bread's got to be like a brick. He swears up and down it's got to be. But Princess Faye said it's nice and crunchy on the outside, light and fluffy on the inside. Pulls apart really easy. So, nothing like a 41-year-old man sticking his tongue out like a kid. There we are. Okay, guys. Grab that link. And don't you guys tell him a darn thing. All right. Let's rate him. Okay. And put in there Maverick Nation raid. He'll know what's up. Okay. So let's exit out of this and I'll see you all over there. All right. So that brings us to our usual spot where I get to say, at day's end, I hope all of you need me as much as I need you. And if nobody has told any of you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you and have a happy 24. Thank you.